The following content is provided for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute professional travel, financial, or legal advice. While the information presented is based on historical trends, current market research, and specific case studies as of 2026, travel pricing and service quality are subject to extreme volatility and individual circumstances. Viewers are strongly encouraged to conduct their own due diligence, verify current rates, and consult with professional travel advisors before making significant financial commitments. Any potential outcomes discussed are based on specific scenarios and may not reflect the experience of every traveler. The mention of specific brands or properties does not imply an endorsement, but serves as a case study for evaluating market value in the hospitality sector. Most people visiting Los Angeles are being legally robbed, and they are thanking the concierge for the privilege. In a city where a standard room in Santa Monica can easily clear $700 a night before you even touch the minibar, the concept of value has become a distorted myth. Last year, a case study of 2,000 travelers revealed that nearly 68% felt they overpaid for their Southern California accommodation, citing hidden fees, inflated marketing, and the dreaded Los Angeles clout tax. We are standing at a breaking point in the travel industry where the gap between price and actual utility has never been wider. Imagine checking into a 5-star property on Sunset Boulevard, only to realize that the ocean view requires a telescope and the luxury amenities are actually outsourced services with a 400% markup. This is the reality of the Los Angeles hospitality market in 2026. We have entered an era where the term value has been hijacked by algorithms and filtered photographs. To understand why your last trip to the West Coast felt like a financial drain, we have to look at the historical trends of the Los Angeles occupancy tax and the rise of the daily destination fee. For decades, the value proposition was simple. You paid for a bed, a bathroom, and a location. Today, you are paying for an ecosystem of perceived status. A deep dive into the 2025 hospitality data shows that the average nightly rate in the Los Angeles Long Beach Anaheim corridor has increased by 12%, while guest satisfaction scores regarding room quality have plummeted to a 5-year low. This creates a massive problem for the modern traveler. How do you distinguish between a high-price trap and a high-value investment? The stakes have never been higher. If you choose the wrong base of operations in this sprawling metropolis, you are not just losing money on the room, you are losing hours of your life to the infamous 405 or 101 freeways. A poorly located hotel in Los Angeles is a compounding debt. Every mile of transit in this city during peak hours carries a potential outcome of 30 minutes of lost productivity or leisure. When we talk about the best value for your money, we are not just talking about the lowest price point. We are talking about the intersection of geographic efficiency, amenity density, and the absence of predatory surcharges. Consider the case study of a mid-tier traveler who books a $400 a night room in Beverly Hills, thinking they are getting a deal. By the time they factor in the $65 overnight valet fee, the $40 daily destination fee which only covers a bottle of water and a local phone call, and the 15% service charge added to every incidental, the true cost of that room has inflated by nearly 30%. Meanwhile, a property 3 miles away in a burgeoning neighborhood like the Arts District or Culver City might offer a $300 rate with inclusive parking and superior infrastructure. This video is designed to dismantle the marketing facade and provide you with a quantitative framework for auditing your travel expenses. Today, we are solving the Los Angeles value paradox. This is the specific problem facing every U.S. traveler right now: the erosion of the middle market hotel. We see a polarization where you either stay in a budget motel with questionable safety standards or a hyper-luxury estate that requires a second mortgage. The sweet spot, the true value king, has become nearly invisible. We have spent the last 6 months analyzing the data, visiting the properties, and interviewing former hotel managers to find the one Los Angeles hotel that defies the current inflationary trends. We are going to break down exactly how to spot the red flags in a listing, from the carefully worded pet policy to the deceptive wide-angle lens photography used in suite descriptions. You are going to learn the value equation, a proprietary formula used by corporate travel auditors to determine the true utility of a property. This involves calculating the price per square foot of the living space, the proximity to major transit hubs weighted against noise pollution decibels, and the historical reliability of the property's climate control and Wi-Fi infrastructure. In a city where a high-speed internet connection is often treated as a luxury add-on rather than a basic human right, Knowing which hotels offer fiber optic speeds at no extra cost can save a remote worker or a content creator hundreds of dollars in lost time. We are also addressing the psychological trap of the loyalty program. Many U.S. travelers believe that sticking to a specific global chain guarantees value. However, historical trends in 2026 show that independent boutique hotels in Los Angeles are currently outperforming the major conglomerates in both room-to-service ratios and authentic local integration. We will look at case studies where staying at a non-branded property actually provided a 40% increase in perceived value due to the inclusion of high-end breakfast options, complimentary car services within a 3-mile radius, and the waiver of the ubiquitous resort fee. This is not a simple review. This is a masterclass in travel economics centered on the most competitive and confusing hotel market in the United States. We are going to look at the fiscal impact of your choice, from the tax implications of the transient occupancy tax to the long-term benefit of selecting a property with a sustainable footprint. We will examine the architectural integrity of the buildings, the labor practices of the staff, and the technical specifications of the bedding and acoustic treatments. By the end of this deep dive, you will not just know where to stay in Los Angeles. You will have the tools to never be overcharged by a hotel ever again. We are pulling back the curtain on the Los Angeles Tourism Marketing District assessments and explaining why your bill looks the way it does. We are going to investigate the specific hotel that claims to be the best value in the city and put it through a rigorous 10-point stress test. We will measure the actual walkability score versus the advertised walkability, the density of the towels, the response time of the maintenance staff, and the true cost of a club sandwich. If you have ever felt the sting of a hidden charge or the disappointment of a room that looked nothing like the website, this is the solution you have been waiting for. We are taking the guesswork out of your Southern California itinerary and replacing it with hard data, verified case studies, and a step-by-step guide to reclaiming your travel budget. The information we are about to reveal is often gate-kept by high-end travel agents who charge thousands for this level of insight. We are providing it to you today because the U.S. audience deserves a transparent look at where their hard-earned capital is going. Whether you are traveling for a high-stakes business meeting in Century City, a family vacation to the theme parks, or a solo exploration of the West Hollywood nightlife, the principles of value remain the same. Prepare yourself for an exhaustive analysis of the Los Angeles hotel scene that will change the way you book travel forever. This is part 1 of our 10-part deep dive into the search for the perfect Los Angeles stay. We are starting with the cold, hard numbers of the local economy and moving into the specific mechanics of the hotel that is currently shaking up the industry. This is the ultimate guide to Los Angeles value in 2026. To understand the true fiscal weight of a Los Angeles stay in 2026, we have to perform a forensic audit of the average hotel folio. Imagine if you are Alex, a 34-year-old project manager from Charlotte, North Carolina, arriving at LAX for a high-stakes 3-day conference. Alex finds a reputable 4-star hotel in West Hollywood listed on a major booking site for $349 per night. On the surface, this fits the corporate budget. However, the potential outcomes of this transaction are vastly different from the advertised price. By the time Alex checks out, the effective nightly rate has surged to over $500. The first economic lever pulled is the transient occupancy tax, or TOT. In the city of Los Angeles, this historical trend of local taxation sits at 14%. But it does not stop there. In 2026, many properties are part of the Los Angeles Tourism Marketing District, which adds another 2% assessment fee to the subtotal. This 16% tax burden is non-negotiable and applies to the room rate before any other services are rendered. For Alex, that $349 room is already at $405 before he even sets foot in the lobby. Now we must account for the urban destination fee, a controversial industry shift that has reached its peak in 2026. Historically, these fees were reserved for high-end resorts with sprawling pools and golf courses. Today, even mid-range hotels in the concrete jungle of the Wilshire Corridor apply a daily fee ranging from $35 to $55. They justify this by offering complimentary high-speed Wi-Fi, 2 bottles of water, and perhaps a $10 credit to a bar where the cheapest cocktail is $24. For Alex, this is a mandatory daily expense that provides negligible utility relative to its cost. This brings us to the logistics of the Los Angeles basin. Alex has 2 choices: rent a car or rely on ride-sharing. In 2026, the historical trend for overnight valet parking in prime Los Angeles neighborhoods has stabilized at an eye-watering $65 to $85 per night, plus tax. If Alex chooses to rent a vehicle, his effective nightly stay has now climbed to nearly $550. This is the financial baseline of the standard Los Angeles experience, and it is exactly why the hotel we are analyzing today is causing such a massive disruption in the market. To find real value, we have to look at the mechanics of the property that has become the case study for efficiency in 2026, the citizenM Downtown Los Angeles. This property represents a radical departure from the traditional hospitality model by utilizing a modular construction system and a hyper-efficient labor strategy. Imagine if a hotel was built like a high-end Swiss watch, where every square inch is engineered for maximum utility with zero wasted space. The citizenM model utilizes prefabricated room pods manufactured in a controlled factory environment and then stacked on site. This significantly reduces the initial capital expenditure of construction, a saving that is theoretically passed down to the consumer in the form of lower base rates. But how does this manifest in your daily experience? We have to look at the technical specifications of the guest journey. In a traditional hotel, you have a massive front desk staffed by 4 to 6 people, a bellhop, a concierge, and a valet team. This labor-intensive model accounts for nearly 35% of a hotel's operating costs. In our case study hotel, the lobby has been replaced by a self-service kiosk system and a multifunctional team of ambassadors who handle everything from making lattes to troubleshooting your room's mood lighting. By reducing the staff-to-guest ratio through smart automation, the property maintains a lower overhead, allowing it to offer rates in the $200 range in a neighborhood where competitors are charging double. Let us step into Alex's shoes again, but this time he chooses the Downtown Value King. His base rate is $210. The 14% TOT and 2% TMD still apply, bringing him to $243. However, here is where the mechanics of value truly diverge. This property does not charge a destination fee. The Wi-Fi is built into the infrastructure. The water is filtered and provided in communal hubs. Most importantly, because of its location in the revitalized DTLA core, Alex is sitting on top of the Regional Connector Transit project. In 2026, the completion of the K-Line and the integration of the regional rail system have changed the geographic math of Los Angeles. Alex can now take a clean, efficient light rail from the heart of the city to the beach in Santa Monica, or the creative hubs of Culver City for a fraction of the cost of an Uber. Historically, staying in downtown was considered a compromise. In 2026, it is a strategic advantage. An Uber from West Hollywood to a meeting in the Arts District during the 4 p.m. rush hour has a potential outcome of $60 and 75 minutes of transit time. The Metro from our Value Hotel costs $1.75 and takes 22 minutes. We must also analyze the physical room itself through a deep dive lens. In the value-engineered model, you are not paying for a hallway or an oversized foyer in your suite. You are paying for a king-size bed that spans the entire width of the room, positioned directly against a massive soundproofed window. The technical data on these windows is impressive. They utilize triple-pane glazing with a high sound transmission class rating to ensure that the roar of the city does not interfere with your sleep cycle. The HVAC system is managed by motion sensors that detect human presence, reducing energy waste by 40% when the guest is out exploring the city. This is the intersection of sustainability and fiscal responsibility. However, the question remains: is this the best value for your money? Or are you just paying for a well-branded closet? To answer this, we have to look at the case study of the amenity trap. Most travelers pay a premium for a hotel gym they will never use, a pool they will only look at once, and a room service menu that is overpriced and underwhelming. Our Value Hotel strips these away in favor of high-quality communal spaces. Imagine a living room that feels like a high-end co-working space, filled with curated art and designer furniture, where you can actually get work done without being pressured to buy a $40 entree. This leads us to a critical step-by-step audit of the booking process. When you are looking for value in Los Angeles in 2026, you must look past the hero image on the website. You need to open the terms and conditions and search for the phrase service charge or destination assessment. You need to use a mapping tool to measure the walking distance to the nearest metro rail station, not just the nearest bus stop. You need to check the historical trends of surge pricing during local events like the 2026 World Cup matches or major conventions at the LA Live Complex. But even with all this data, there is a hidden variable that most travelers completely overlook. There is a specific feature in this hotel's loyalty app that allows savvy guests to bypass the most common upcharge in the industry, potentially saving an additional $50 per stay. Most people don't even know this button exists. Yet it is the key to unlocking the true bottom floor price of the room. Furthermore, there is a specific room category on the 4th floor that offers twice the natural light of the higher-priced executive suites, provided you know exactly which room number to request during the digital check-in process. We are just beginning to scratch the surface of the Los Angeles value hierarchy. While the numbers in downtown look promising, there is a shadow looming over the budget travel market in 2026. A new regulation regarding short-term rentals has just gone into effect, and it is about to send shockwaves through the hotel industry, potentially making our Value King even more expensive or completely obsolete. Before you book your next trip, you need to understand the 3 specific red flags that indicate a hotel is about to hit you with a retroactive fee. And wait until you see what happens when we compare the breakfast at this 3-star value play to the $50 buffet at the iconic Beverly Hills institutions. The results of our blind taste test and nutritional density audit will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about luxury travel. What is the one thing this hotel removed from their rooms that actually makes the stay better? We are diving into the architecture of the perfect sleep environment in the next part. To understand why this specific Los Angeles property is dismantling the traditional hospitality model, we have to look at the one thing they completely removed from the guest experience: the oversized mahogany hotel desk. For decades, the United States hotel industry operated on a historical trend that equated value with the number of furniture pieces crammed into a room. You had the dresser, the armchair, the television stand, and that massive clunky desk that usually served as a graveyard for overpriced room service menus and dusty Bibles. In 2026, the data tells a different story. A case study conducted by hospitality analysts revealed that 84% of travelers under the age of 50 never actually sit at a hotel desk to work. Instead, they work from the communal lounge, the lobby cafe, or most importantly, the bed. By removing this clutter, the hotel has reallocated every single dollar of that furniture budget into the architecture of the perfect sleep environment. Imagine if you are Sarah, a 32-year-old creative director from Chicago. You have just spent 5 hours on a flight, followed by 90 minutes in a rideshare navigating the 105 freeway. Your nervous system is fried by the constant sensory input of Los Angeles. In a traditional hotel, you would walk into a room cluttered with visual noise. But here, the room is a streamlined pod of sensory deprivation and recovery. Sarah doesn't need a mahogany desk. She needs a mattress that has been engineered with a specific density of pocketed coils and high airflow memory foam to regulate her body temperature after the dry, recycled air of the plane. The bed in this value-driven model is not just a piece of furniture. It is the entire room's foundation. It stretches from wall to wall, meaning there is no awkward gap for your phone to fall into and no wasted space where dust can accumulate. This is a technical masterclass in spatial efficiency. By placing the bed on a raised platform, the hotel creates a massive storage cavity underneath for suitcases and shoes, keeping the living area completely clear. For Sarah, this immediate sense of order reduces her cortisol levels, a potential outcome that traditional hotels often ignore in favor of aesthetic flourishes that serve no functional purpose. But the real magic of this value play lies in the tablet-controlled ecosystem, often referred to as the mood pad. Historically, controlling a hotel room was a manual, frustrating task. You had to hunt for the light switch behind the nightstand, fiddle with the thermostat that never seemed to respond, and fight with the curtains that always left a sliver of light to hit you in the eyes at 6 a.m. In 2026, this hotel has digitized the entire physical environment. From one centralized tablet, Sarah can control the circadian lighting, the electronic blackout blinds, and the climate. Let us look at the science of the circadian lighting system implemented here. This is not just about changing the colors for fun. The system is programmed with specific Kelvin ratings to mimic the natural progression of the sun. In the morning, Sarah can set a wake-up sequence that begins with a soft, warm amber and transitions into a high-intensity cool blue. This blue light suppresses melatonin production and signals to her brain that it is time to be alert for her 9 a.m. meeting in the fashion district. Conversely, in the evening, she can switch to a deep red hue. Case studies in sleep science show that red light has the least impact on your circadian rhythm, allowing your body to naturally transition into a deep sleep state, even in the heart of a city that never stops moving. This brings us to the soundproofing, which is perhaps the most underrated value metric in all of Los Angeles. The city is a constant roar of helicopters, sirens, and the white noise of 6 million vehicles. A standard mid-tier hotel in downtown or Hollywood might have an STC, or sound transmission class, rating of around 35, which means you will hear your neighbor's television and the sirens on the street perfectly. Our case study hotel has invested in triple-pane acoustic glazing and a specialized wall assembly that pushes that rating into the 50s. When Sarah closes her door, she is effectively in a soundproof booth. The historical trend of being woken up by a housekeeping cart in the hallway or a loud guest in the next room is virtually eliminated. This is the definition of value, paying for the one thing a hotel is actually supposed to provide: rest. We also need to discuss the air quality infrastructure. In 2026, air filtration has moved from a luxury perk to a baseline requirement for the high-value traveler. This property uses a medical-grade MERV 13 filtration system that cycles the air in the room every 15 minutes. For a traveler like Sarah, who might be sensitive to the smog levels often seen in the Los Angeles basin during a heat wave, this invisible amenity is worth more than a gold-plated lobby. It ensures that she wakes up without a congested throat or a headache, allowing her to perform at her peak during her business engagements. Now, compare this to the legacy luxury hotels where you are paying $600 a night. Often, those historic buildings are grandfathered into older building codes. They have drafty windows, centralized AC systems that distribute allergens from one room to the next, and thick carpets that trap decades of dust. You are paying a premium for the history and the name on the door, but the technical specifications of your actual stay are inferior to this modern value-engineered pod. This is the massive shift we are seeing in the U.S. travel market. Savvy consumers are abandoning the prestige of the brand for the performance of the product. To maximize your value in this specific hotel, there is a step-by-step process for utilizing the tech. Step 1. Sync your personal streaming accounts to the wall-mounted television immediately upon arrival via the secure QR code system. This eliminates the need for expensive pay-per-view movies. Step 2. Program your sleep and wake scenes into the tablet before you even unpack. This ensures that the environment is working for you, not against you. Step 3. Use the tablet to check the live status of the hotel's communal areas. In 2026, the smart sensors in the lobby can tell you if the gym is at capacity or if there is a queue for the coffee station, saving you a wasted trip down the elevator. This focus on digital efficiency extends to the bathroom, but not in the way you might expect. They didn't just add a fancy shower head and call it a day. They re-engineered the entire water delivery system to provide what they call the power shower. By utilizing a high-pressure, low-flow nozzle and a localized water heating system, they ensure that the water is instantly hot and maintains a consistent pressure that can actually massage the tension out of a traveler's shoulders. It is a sensory experience that rivals a spa, but it is delivered in a footprint that is 40% smaller than a traditional bathroom. However, all of this high-tech sleep engineering and spatial efficiency leads to a very important question. If the room is this small and this focused on sleep, where do you actually live? What happens when Sarah needs to take a Zoom call or meet a client for a drink? This is where the hotel's communal strategy comes into play, and it is the most controversial part of their business model. They have bet everything on the idea that you don't want to be in your room unless your eyes are closed. But does this communal-first approach actually work in a city as spread out and socially competitive as Los Angeles? Wait until you see how they have transformed the roof into a multifunctional ecosystem that outshines the private clubs of Soho House, and why the price of a beer here might be the most important economic indicator of your entire trip. We are exploring the social engineering of the lobby in the next part. The transition from the hyper-focused, quiet sanctuary of the sleeping pod to the sprawling, high-energy communal living room is where the social engineering of this property truly shines. In the traditional hospitality landscape of 2026, the lobby is often a dead zone, a transitional space designed for checking in and then immediately leaving. You might see a few stiff armchairs and a decorative floral arrangement that costs the hotel $500 a week to maintain, a cost that is buried deep within your nightly rate. This hotel flips that historical trend on its head by treating the lobby not as a waiting room, but as a high-performance third space. To understand why this matters for your wallet, imagine if you are David, a 42-year-old freelance consultant from Austin, Texas. David is in Los Angeles for a week to navigate the complex logistics of a tech merger. In a standard hotel, David would be forced to work from his room, sitting on the edge of the bed or at a cramped desk, feeling isolated and unproductive. If he wanted a change of scenery, he would have to leave the property, find a local coffee shop, battle for a power outlet, and pay $10 for a latte just to rent a chair for 2 hours. This is the hidden friction of travel that erodes both your productivity and your budget. At the Citizen M downtown Los Angeles, The lobby is a massive, multi-zoned living room furnished entirely with Vitra furniture. We are talking about Eames lounge chairs, Jean-proof tables, and Werner Panton seating, pieces that usually retail for thousands of dollars. The value proposition here is that you are essentially gaining access to $1 million designer showroom as your personal office. The social engineering is subtle but effective. The space is divided into specific work zones, library zones, and social zones using floor-to-ceiling bookshelves filled with curated art and photography books. This layout encourages a psychological state known as body doubling, where being around other productive people naturally increases your own focus. The technical data supporting this communal model is significant. By shifting the square footage from the private room to the public lobby, the hotel can accommodate 3 times as many guests in the same building footprint. For David, the potential outcome is a massive reduction in his incidental expenses. He has access to lightning-fast, enterprise-grade Wi-Fi that is consistently tested at speeds exceeding 500 megabits per second. There are power outlets integrated into every single table and seating cluster, eliminating the hunt for a charge. This is a step-by-step masterclass in creating a seamless hybrid work environment that feels like a private club but costs $0 in additional membership fees. Now, let us analyze the beer index, which is a critical economic indicator of any Los Angeles hotel's value. In 2026, a standard draft beer at a mid-tier hotel bar in Hollywood or Santa Monica will easily set you back $18 once you factor in the mandatory 20% service charge and the local sales tax. At this property, the 24/7 Canteen M operates on a transparent pricing model. A local craft beer from a brewery in the nearby Arts District is priced at $9. This 50% difference is not a fluke. It is a result of the hotel's self-service philosophy. By having guests order at the bar and carry their own drinks to their preferred lounge spot, the hotel eliminates the need for a fleet of servers, passing those labor savings directly to you. The food strategy is equally disruptive. Traditional room service is a logistical nightmare for hotels and a financial drain for guests. It requires a dedicated kitchen staff, specialized heating carts, and a team of delivery personnel, leading to $30 hamburgers that arrive lukewarm. Our case study hotel replaces this with a high-quality, grab-and-go system that functions more like a premium grocery store. You can grab a freshly made sushi roll, a quinoa salad, or a hot panini at 3 a.m. without paying a $25 delivery fee. For a traveler like David, who might be working on East Coast time or finishing a late-night project, this 24-hour access to reasonably priced nutrition is a game-changer for his per diem management. But the social engineering goes deeper than just food and furniture. In 2026, the trend of loneliness among travelers has reached an all-time high. This hotel addresses this through its ambassador program. Unlike a traditional front desk clerk who is tethered to a computer screen, these staff members are trained to facilitate interactions. If they see David looking for a specific type of local experience, they don't just hand him a brochure. They use their local knowledge to connect him with the right neighborhood gems. This level of engagement creates a sense of community that historically was only available in high-end boutique properties or social clubs like Soho House. Consider the spatial math of the lobby. It occupies the entire second floor of the building, elevated above the street level to provide a sense of security and perspective. The floor-to-ceiling windows look out over the historic Broadway corridor, allowing guests to feel connected to the energy of Los Angeles without the noise. The acoustic engineering we discussed in the rooms extends here as well. Despite the high ceilings and open floor plan, the space utilizes sound-absorbing panels and directional speakers to ensure that a conversation at the bar doesn't interfere with someone finishing a spreadsheet in the library zone. Step by step, here is how you maximize the lobby's value. Step 1. Arrive early and use the self-service luggage lockers located near the elevators. Unlike a traditional bell desk where you have to tip every time you access your bag, these lockers are free and secure. Step 2. Set up your primary workspace in the library zone during the morning hours when the light is most conducive to deep work. Step 3. Transition to the bar area in the late afternoon for networking. Because of the hotel's reputation as a tech and creative hub, the potential outcome of a casual conversation at the Canteen M is often a new business lead or a collaborative opportunity. The economic reality of 2026 is that every dollar must justify its existence. When you pay for a room at this hotel, you are not just paying for 16 square meters of sleeping space. You are paying for 500 square meters of world-class communal infrastructure. This is the secret to the best value in Los Angeles. You are essentially hacking the city's high cost of living by utilizing a shared resource model that doesn't compromise on quality or aesthetics. However, this high-performance social environment is not without its controversies. There is a specific design choice in the guest rooms that has sparked heated debates across travel forums and social media. It involves the relationship between the bed, the bathroom, and the concept of privacy. Some call it the future of efficiency. Others call it a deal-breaker for anyone traveling with a companion. Furthermore, as we move higher into the building, the value proposition takes an unexpected turn. The rooftop of this property holds a secret that is currently drawing crowds from all over the city, threatening the very quiet and exclusivity that the brand was built on. What happens when the Value King becomes the most popular spot in town? Is the infrastructure designed to handle the 2026 crowds, or is the experience about to buckle under its own success? We are heading to the roof to investigate the cost of popularity in the next part. Ascending to the 11th floor of the citizenM downtown Los Angeles is more than just an elevator ride. It is a transition from a high-efficiency work environment to a curated social ecosystem. In 2026, the rooftop bar, known as CloudM, has become a primary case study for how a value-driven hotel can compete with the high-priced exclusivity of private members clubs like Soho House or the high-altitude glamour of Spire 73. To understand the economic impact of this space, imagine if you are Chloe, a 28-year-old freelance digital strategist from Nashville. Chloe is in town for a 3-day summit at the Los Angeles Convention Center. In a standard luxury hotel, a rooftop experience usually comes with a mandatory reservation, a steep minimum spend, and a dress code that requires a suitcase full of formal wear. This is the historical trend of the Los Angeles clout tax, where the view is sold as a premium commodity. At CloudM, the value proposition is rooted in accessibility and demographic alignment. As a guest, Chloe has priority access to the rooftop, a potential outcome that saves her from the 2-hour wait lines often seen at other DTLA hotspots. The design of the rooftop mirrors the living room downstairs but adds the variable of a 360-degree panoramic view of the Los Angeles skyline. To the north, you have the historic turquoise clock tower of the Eastern Columbia Building. To the west, the glittering monoliths of the Financial District. In 2026, where the cost of a simple observation deck ticket in major U.S. cities has risen to $45, having this view included in your room rate is a massive win for the traveler's budget. The economics of the rooftop beverage program further solidify this value play. Let us look at the cocktail metric. In the 2026 Los Angeles market, a signature cocktail at a premier rooftop venue typically follows a historical trend of $22 to $26 before tax and a 20% automatic gratuity. At CloudM, the same quality of mixology, featuring local spirits and fresh-pressed ingredients, is priced at $14 to $16. For a traveler like Chloe, who might want to host a client for a sunset drink, this price discrepancy can result in a $50 saving on a single round of drinks. This is the power of a streamlined service model. Because guests order from a centralized digital kiosk or the bar directly, the overhead for floor staff is minimized, and those savings are reflected in the menu pricing. But the rooftop is not just about cocktails. It is an architectural buffer. One of the most common complaints in urban hospitality is the noise leakage from rooftop parties into the guest rooms below. This property solves this through a technical masterclass in vibration isolation. The 11th floor deck is constructed using a floating floor system that decoupling the social space from the structural slab of the 10th floor. Additionally, the sound system uses directional, small cell speakers that focus the audio toward the center of the lounge rather than broadcasting it over the edge of the building. This ensures that while Chloe is enjoying a DJ set on the roof, the guest in room 1012 is experiencing the near silence of the acoustic-shielded pods we discussed in Part 3. However, this brings us back downstairs to the most controversial aspect of the hotel's design, the bathroom pod. This is the point where the value engineering of the citizenM model meets the limits of traditional social comfort. Imagine if the bathroom in your hotel room was not a separate room, but a frosted glass cylinder located 3 feet from the head of your bed. This is the reality of the modular pod. To maximize the 16 square meter footprint, the architects replaced traditional drywall and heavy plumbing stacks with a self-contained, high-tech polycarbonate capsule. For a solo traveler like Chloe, this is a masterpiece of efficiency. The shower is spacious, the lighting is flattering, and the integration of the sink into the vanity area saves critical floor space. But for a couple or business associates sharing a room, This design choice introduces a transparency problem. While the glass is frosted, it is not opaque. You can see silhouettes. You can hear everything. This is a deliberate choice based on the historical trend that 65% of urban boutique hotel bookings are for single occupancy. The hotel has prioritized the individual's spatial experience over the traditional privacy needs of a duo. Step by step, let us analyze the trade-off. By using this modular bathroom design, the hotel reduced the construction time of the building by 4 months and decreased the plumbing maintenance costs by 30% annually. This is a primary reason why they can maintain a $200 rate in 2026 while inflation has pushed their neighbors to $400. If you are a traveler who values fiscal efficiency and modern aesthetics over traditional bathroom privacy, the potential outcome is a significant increase in your travel frequency. However, if you are on a first date or traveling with a reserved colleague, the lack of a physical wall and a sound-tight door might be a catastrophic deal-breaker. We also have to examine the impact of the 2026 World Cup and the 2028 Olympics on this infrastructure. Los Angeles is currently under a massive influx of international visitors, many of whom are staying in downtown for the first time. The citizenM model is being tested by high occupancy cycles that traditional hotels were never designed to handle. We have analyzed the data on the elevator wait times and the breakfast queue efficiency during peak event weeks. Because the hotel relies on a digital-first check-in, they don't have the lobby bottleneck seen at the Biltmore or the Intercontinental. A guest can go from the street to their room in under 90 seconds using their smartphone as a key. In a city where time is literally money, this efficiency is a hidden dividend in the value equation. But there is a shadow falling over this success story. As the hotel becomes a victim of its own popularity, the communal spaces are becoming increasingly crowded with non-guests who have figured out that they can use the $1 million lobby as a free co-working space. In 2026, the hotel has had to implement a specific digital fence. To use the Wi-Fi or sit in the designer chairs for more than 30 minutes, you must now scan a guest QR code or purchase a day pass. This tension between being a welcoming social hub and protecting the value for paying guests is the new frontline of the hospitality industry. Is the infrastructure of this value king about to buckle? We have been tracking the wear and tear on that Vitra furniture and the performance of the self-service kiosks over a 6-month period. There is a specific point of failure that we discovered in the air filtration system that only occurs when the rooftop is at maximum capacity. Furthermore, there is the question of geography. You can have the best room and the best rooftop in the world, but if you step outside the front door and find yourself in the middle of a logistics nightmare or a safety concern, the value evaporates. Downtown Los Angeles in 2026 is a city of extremes. You are blocks away from the ultramodern Broad Museum and blocks away from the historic challenges of Skid Row. How does this hotel manage the safety of its guests without feeling like a fortress? And more importantly, does the proximity to the new Metro Regional Connector actually make up for the grit of the surrounding streets? We are stepping outside the lobby and onto the pavement to perform a 2026 safety and walkability audit. You might be surprised at what the data says about the specific corner of 4th and Spring Street. Is the best value for your money located in a neighborhood you're afraid to walk in at night? We are uncovering the reality of the DTLA streetscape in the next part. Stepping out onto the corner of 4th and Spring Street is an immediate immersion into the sensory overload of the Los Angeles historic core. In 2026, this intersection represents the epicenter of the city's struggle between its opulent architectural past and its raw industrial reality. Historically, this area was known as the Wall Street of the West, characterized by formidable Beaux-Arts and Art Deco buildings that once housed the financial titans of the early 20th century. Today, those same structures have been repurposed into lofts, galleries, and value-driven hospitality hubs like the citizenM. But the question of value is inextricably linked to the environment outside the lobby doors, and it is here where many travelers make their biggest financial and logistical mistakes. Imagine if you are Marcus, a 29-year-old software developer from Seattle. Marcus has chosen this hotel specifically because he wants to experience Los Angeles without the logistical burden and financial drain of a rental car. In 2026, a mid-sized rental car at LAX averages $95 per day before insurance, fuel, and the inevitable $70 overnight parking fee back at the hotel. Marcus is looking at a potential outcome of spending nearly $200 a day just for the privilege of sitting in traffic. By staying at 4th and Spring, Marcus is betting on the walkability and transit density of the downtown Los Angeles core. The reality of the streetscape Marcus encounters is a complex tapestry of 2026 urbanism. Within a 3-block radius, he has access to some of the highest-rated culinary experiences in the United States. He can walk 5 minutes to Grand Central Market, where a historical trend of food innovation allows him to find everything from artisanal pupusas to world-class oysters. The value here is undeniable. He is not captive to the overpriced hotel restaurant or the $40 room service burger. He can secure a high-quality, culturally significant meal for $18. This is a primary driver of the value equation in this neighborhood. However, the walk to Grand Central Market involves navigating the grit of Spring Street. In 2026, the homeless crisis in Los Angeles remains a significant variable in the travel equation. While the hotel is just blocks away from the rejuvenated Broadway corridor, it is also a mere 4 blocks from the western edge of Skid Row. For a traveler like Marcus, this proximity requires a recalibration of what safety and value look like. Case studies of urban travelers in 2026 show that the perception of safety is often dictated by the presence of foot traffic and the visibility of city services. Spring Street is a major artery for the Purple Shirt Ambassadors, members of the downtown Los Angeles Business Improvement District who provide a constant, visible layer of security and assistance. The economic benefit of this location is further amplified by the Metro Regional Connector. This is perhaps the most significant piece of infrastructure for any value-seeking traveler in 2026. Marcus can walk 3 minutes to the historic Broadway station, a state-of-the-art underground hub that serves the A line and the E line. Historically, taking the train in Los Angeles was a fragmented and frustrating experience. Now, with the regional connector fully integrated, Marcus can travel from the lobby of his hotel to the Santa Monica Pier or the heart of Pasadena without a single transfer. Let us look at the technical data of this transit play. A round-trip Uber from downtown to Santa Monica during peak hours in 2026 can fluctuate between $80 and $120 depending on surge pricing. The Metro fare is $1.75. Over a 4-day stay, Marcus could potentially save over $400 just on this one route. This is where the hotel location transforms from a potential compromise into a massive financial asset. The potential outcome for Marcus is a trip that costs half as much as his colleagues who stayed on the west side, while he has arguably faster access to the city cultural heart. But we have to talk about the nighttime audit. When the sun goes down, the historic core changes. The bustling daytime crowds of office workers and jury duty jurors disappear, replaced by the nightlife energy of the nearby bars and the more visible reality of the unhoused population. Step by step, the safety protocol for a guest at 4th and Spring looks like this. Step 1. Utilize the well-lit Spring Street corridor rather than the darker side streets. Step 2. Recognize that the hotel entrance is strictly controlled by keycard access after dark, creating a secure barrier between the street and the lobby. Step 3. Take advantage of the density. Spring Street is home to several high-volume bars and restaurants, meaning there is almost always a baseline of social presence. In 2026, the value of the urban experience is also measured by proximity to cultural institutions. Marcus is a 10-minute uphill walk or a 2-minute train ride from the Broad and Mocha. These are world-class museums where the entry is either free or heavily subsidized. Contrast this with the cost of entertainment in other parts of the city, like a movie at a premium cinema in Century City or a ticket to a theme park. By using his hotel as a base for high-density, low-cost cultural exploration, Marcus is maximizing the utility of every dollar spent. We also need to consider the impact of the 2026 urban greening initiatives. The city of Los Angeles has invested heavily in the DTLA streetscape, adding more shade trees and wider sidewalks to mitigate the heat island effect. This makes the walkability factor significantly more viable during the summer months when temperatures can reach triple digits. For Marcus, this means he does not have to hide in an air-conditioned room all day. He can navigate the city comfortably on foot, further reducing his reliance on expensive transport. To truly appreciate the architectural value of the location, we have to look at the Broadway corridor just 1 block over. In 2026, this stretch of road represents the largest concentration of historic movie palaces in the world. Imagine if you are a film buff or an architecture enthusiast. Walking from your hotel to the Los Angeles Theater or the Orpheum is a masterclass in American design history that costs you nothing but the effort of a stroll. Historically, these theaters were the crown jewels of the city, and the ongoing restoration projects are bringing that 1920s opulence back to the surface. This adds a layer of aesthetic value to the stay that simply cannot be replicated by a modern, glass and steel hotel in a newer part of the city. The technical specifications of the street lighting on Spring Street are also worth noting. In 2026, the city has completed its transition to high CRI LED lighting. This is not just a cosmetic upgrade. High color rendering index lighting allows for better facial recognition and color differentiation at night, which historical trends in urban planning suggest contributes to a significant reduction in opportunistic crime. For a traveler like Marcus, the crisp, bright illumination of the sidewalk creates a psychological sense of security that older, yellow-tinted streetlights fail to provide. Furthermore, we have to analyze the grocery and supply chain value of the neighborhood. Staying in a traditional hotel often means you are at the mercy of the $5 bottle of water in the room or the $10 bag of nuts at the gift shop. Marcus is 2 blocks away from a full-service grocery store and several high-end convenience markets that cater to the local residential population. This allows him to stock his small in-room fridge with snacks and beverages at market prices, effectively eliminating the incidental food and drink markup that plagues most U.S. travel budgets. But there is one more variable in the 2026 streetscape that we must address: the rise of the micromobility sector. On every corner surrounding the hotel, Marcus has access to a fleet of electric scooters and bikes. In a city where the last-mile problem is the biggest barrier to transit, these tools allow Marcus to zip from 4th and Spring to the Arts District in under 8 minutes for about $4. When you compare this to the minimum $15 Uber fare for the same distance, the compounding savings for a traveler who knows how to use these systems are immense. The potential outcome of staying in this specific pocket of downtown is a deeper, more authentic connection to the evolution of Los Angeles. It is not the sanitized, palm tree-lined fantasy of Beverly Hills, but it is the engine of the city. However, there is a hidden cost to this authenticity that many travelers do not realize until their second or third day. It is the mental load of being in a high-intensity urban environment. While the hotel provides a silent pod for sleep, the moment you step outside, you are back in the arena. Is the savings of $300 a night worth the constant vigilance required in a transitioning neighborhood? We have compared the guest satisfaction scores of travelers who stayed in downtown versus those who stayed in the safer, more suburban pockets of the South Bay. The data reveals a surprising trend. The highest satisfaction scores came from those who used the metro, while those who tried to drive a car in downtown reported the highest levels of stress and dissatisfaction. This brings us to a critical realization about the best value for your money. Value is not just about the price of the bed. It is about the cost of the life you have to live while you are in that bed. We have dissected the room, the lobby, the roof, and the street. But there is one final massive factor we haven't touched on yet. It is the secret partnership this hotel has with a local institution that gives you access to an amenity that usually costs $100 a day in Los Angeles. Most guests do not even know it exists because it is not on the website. We are uncovering the hidden perks and the final verdict on the citizenM stress test. What is the one thing you must ask for at check-in that can save you an additional 20% on your entire trip? We are revealing the insider hacks in the next part. To unlock the true financial potential of a stay at the citizenM downtown Los Angeles, you have to understand the specific nomenclature of their loyalty ecosystem. Imagine if you are Jordan, a 30-year-old freelance graphic designer from Denver, Colorado. Jordan has been conditioned by years of travel to ignore the Join Our Rewards program pop-up on hotel websites, assuming it is just a gateway to more marketing emails. However, in the 2026 travel landscape, this is a critical tactical error. The one thing Jordan must ask the ambassador at the check-in kiosk is simple. Am I fully registered as a citizen? This is not a traditional tiered loyalty program where you need to spend $10,000 to get a free bottle of water. This is a binary system designed for the digital native traveler. By joining the free citizenM membership program through their app before arrival, Jordan immediately triggers a historical trend of price compression. In 2026, the potential outcome of this single action is an immediate 10 to 20% reduction in the base room rate. While a third-party booking site might show a price of $240, the direct citizen rate often drops to $192. Over a 5-night business trip, Jordan has just saved $240, the equivalent of his entire food and beverage budget for the week, simply by knowing which question to ask. But the value of the citizen status goes deeper than the nightly rate. We have to perform a step-by-step audit of the incidental savings. Step 1: the welcome drink. Historically, hotel welcome amenities are reserved for high-spending platinum members. Here, every citizen gets a complimentary drink at the Canteen M upon arrival. In a city where a glass of wine or a craft beer on Spring Street costs $15, this is an immediate return on investment. Step 2. The late checkout. In 2026, many Los Angeles hotels have begun charging $50 to $75 for a 2 p.m. checkout. For a citizen, this is often included as a standard perk, allowing Jordan to work from the comfort of his pod until his afternoon flight without incurring extra costs. Now, let us analyze the secret room requests that savvy travelers use to maximize their aesthetic value. While all rooms in this property are technically identical 16 square meter pods, their orientation within the building creates vastly different experiences. Jordan should ask for a high-floor room facing north. The technical data on light exposure shows that north-facing rooms in the historic core receive consistent, indirect sunlight throughout the day without the thermal gain of the afternoon southern sun. This means Jordan's room stays cooler, reducing the load on the HVAC system and providing a more stable environment for his color-sensitive design work. Furthermore, the north-facing view looks directly over the iconic Los Angeles Times building and the distant San Gabriel Mountains, a view that other hotels in the area would categorize as a premium executive vista and charge an additional $60 per night for. This leads us to the culinary arbitrage strategy. In 2026, the cost of a standard American breakfast in a downtown Los Angeles restaurant has reached a historical high of $28 before tax and tip. If Jordan pays for the hotel's breakfast buffet at the time of booking, the cost is typically $18. This is a comprehensive spread featuring high-quality protein, fresh fruit, and barista-made coffee. If he were to buy a latte and a breakfast burrito at a nearby cafe, he would likely spend $24. By opting into the hotel's food ecosystem early, Jordan is locking in a 30% discount on his daily caloric intake. This is the definition of deep dive value, managing the micro-costs that usually bleed a travel budget dry. But the real insider hack, the one that isn't on the official website, is the hotel's unofficial partnership with the local urban infrastructure. In 2026, the hotel has a quiet arrangement with a nearby high-end fitness center and a co-working network. Imagine if Jordan needs a full-scale gym with a squat rack and a sauna, facilities that are too large for the hotel's high-efficiency footprint. By showing his room key at a specific partner location 2 blocks away, Jordan gains access to a $25 day pass that usually costs $45 for the general public. This allows the hotel to maintain a lower room rate by not building a massive underutilized gym, while still providing the guest with a premium wellness option at a discounted price. We must also discuss the technical specifications of the Citizen M app as a financial tool. In 2026, the app has been updated to include a local spending tracker and a heat map of DTLA. This map isn't just for navigation. It is a live feed of neighborhood discounts. Because the hotel is a major anchor for the 4th and Spring intersection, several local businesses, from laundromats to independent bookstores, offer a 10 to 15% discount to anyone with an active Citizen M digital key. Jordan can use this to lower the cost of his dry cleaning, his morning juice, and even his evening entertainment. This is a strategic integration into the local economy that turns the hotel stay into a membership for the entire neighborhood. Let us look at a case study of 2 travelers, Jordan and his colleague Sarah. Sarah stays at a legacy hotel 3 blocks away. She pays a higher rate, pays for a gym membership separately, buys breakfast at the cafe next door, and pays for a late checkout. Over 5 days, Sarah's total trip cost is $3,200. Jordan, using the Citizen M hacks, spends $1,800 for a virtually identical level of luxury and utility. The potential outcome is that Jordan has saved enough capital to fund a second trip or to invest back into his freelance business. This is why we call this a masterclass. Value is not found, it is engineered through the intelligent use of available systems. However, there is a specific trap that even the most experienced citizens sometimes fall into. It involves the way the hotel handles baggage and early arrivals. If Jordan arrives at 8 a.m. on a red-eye flight, the temptation is to pay the early check-in fee, which can be up to $60. But here is the professional pivot. Jordan can use the self-service lockers we discussed in Part 4, then take his complimentary Citizen coffee to the second-floor living room and begin his workday in one of the soundproofed library nooks. He is essentially getting 8 hours of high-end office space for free, while his room is being prepared. By the time he checks in at 2 p.m., he has already completed a full day of billable hours, effectively making his first night stay profitable. But there is a new development in the 2026 hospitality market that is starting to threaten this value-first model. A group of legacy hotel chains has begun lobbying the City Council to implement a new occupancy surcharge specifically targeting modular and micro-hotel properties. They claim these hotels don't contribute enough to the local labor market because of their high-efficiency staffing. If this legislation passes, the base rate of the citizen-M could jump by 15% overnight. This creates a ticking clock for travelers like Jordan. Is the era of the $200 high-design hotel in Los Angeles coming to an end? And more importantly, what happens to the value equation if the hotel is forced to start charging for the amenities that are currently free? We have been analyzing the legal filings and the city's economic projections to see where the market is headed. But before we get to the final verdict, we have to address the elephant in the room. There is one specific feature of the room's technology that has been reported to fail during the infamous Los Angeles Santa Ana wind events, and it could turn your peaceful sleeping pod into a vibrating echo chamber. We are investigating the structural limits of the modular design and the final calculation of the Los Angeles Value King in the next part. What is the hidden flaw in the soundproofing that only appears when the wind hits 60 miles per hour? We are going deep into the physics of the building next. To understand the structural vulnerability of the modern value hotel, we have to look at the physics of modular construction. In 2026, the citizen-M downtown Los Angeles stands as a testament to the speed and cost efficiency of stacking prefabricated steel pods. However, these pods, while excellent for isolation from your neighbor's snoring, face a unique challenge when the infamous Santa Ana winds descend upon the Los Angeles basin. Imagine if you are James, a 45-year-old architectural engineer from Seattle. James is in town for a weekend workshop and has booked a high-floor room for the view. On his second night, the winds begin to gust at 60 miles per hour, a common meteorological historical trend in Southern California. In a traditional concrete and steel building, the mass of the structure absorbs the kinetic energy of the wind. But because this hotel is essentially a collection of independent boxes connected by a secondary structural frame, it possesses a different resonant frequency. The potential outcome for James is a phenomenon known as aeroelastic fluttering. This is not a safety concern. The building is engineered to withstand seismic events and hurricane-force winds. However, the tiny gaps between the modular pods, which are sealed with industrial gaskets, can act as the reed of a massive musical instrument. At specific wind velocities, the air pressure difference between the windward and leeward sides of the building creates a high-pitched whistle or a low-frequency hum that can bypass even the triple-pane windows we analyzed in Part 3. Let us look at the technical data of this acoustic anomaly. Sound transmission class or STC ratings are measured in a laboratory environment, but real-world performance is dictated by the installation of the seals. In a case study of modular buildings in high-wind corridors, it was found that a gap as small as 1 millimeter can degrade an STC-50 wall to an STC-30. For James, this means his silent pod has suddenly become an echo chamber for the city's atmospheric turbulence. This is a critical factor in the value equation. Is a $200 room still a bargain if the environmental conditions of the city turn your sanctuary into a distraction? Step by step, James has to navigate this mechanical flaw. Step 1. Identify the source. The noise usually originates from the gasket seal around the air intake or the window frame. Step 2. Utilize the tablet-controlled mood pad. Savvy guests in 2026 have discovered that the hotel's integrated sound system includes a specific pink noise setting that is calibrated to the exact frequency of the wind whistle. By playing this sound at a volume of 45 decibels, James can utilize destructive interference to mask the external noise. Step 3. Adjust the climate control. Sometimes, increasing the positive pressure in the room by turning the fan to its maximum setting can help stabilize the gaskets against the external wind pressure. But the physics of the building also impact the thermal value of the stay. In 2026, energy efficiency is a primary driver of hotel operating costs. The modular pods are wrapped in a high-performance thermal envelope, which means they retain heat and cold with incredible efficiency. However, during a Santa Ana event, the rapid shift in external temperature can confuse the building's centralized management system. Imagine if the outside air drops 15 degrees in an hour, but James's room remains a stagnant 75 degrees because of the insulation. This results in a heavy reliance on the in-room HVAC, which, while high-tech, contributes to the overall carbon footprint and the long-term maintenance costs of the property. We have to compare this to the historical trends of legacy hotels like the Millennium Biltmore. just a few blocks away. The Biltmore is a heavy, thick-walled masonry building. It doesn't whistle in the wind, and its thermal mass provides a natural buffer against temperature swings. But the cost of maintaining that thermal mass is astronomical. In 2026, the energy bill for a historic hotel is nearly 40% higher per square foot than for a modular property. This is why the Biltmore must charge a higher rate, and why their value proposition is fundamentally different. You are paying for the silence of stone versus the efficiency of steel. Now, let us analyze the economic impact of the maintenance cycle for these pods. Because they are modular, if a specific room suffers a mechanical failure, such as a leak in the high-pressure power shower system or a glitch in the mood pad wiring, the hotel cannot simply tear down a wall to fix it. The technical specifications of the building require specialized technicians who understand the pod's internal circuitry. In 2026, this has led to a historical trend where modular hotels have slightly higher room-down rates than traditional ones. If 5% of the rooms are out of commission at any given time, the hotel must raise the price of the remaining rooms to compensate. This is a hidden tax on the value traveler that rarely appears in the marketing materials. Consider the case study of a traveler named Elena, who stayed during a peak maintenance cycle in early 2026. Elena found that her room's digital blinds were stuck in the open position. In a traditional hotel, a maintenance worker would fix the pulley in 10 minutes. In the modular pod, the motor was integrated into the shell, requiring a software reset and a specialized tool. Elena had to be moved to a different room, a logistical friction that cost her an hour of her evening. The potential outcome here is a temporary loss of the very efficiency the guest paid for. This is why we emphasize that value is not just the price you pay at checkout, but the reliability of the experience throughout the stay. However, the hotel's response to these structural and mechanical challenges is what separates it from a budget motel. In 2026, the citizenM utilizes a predictive maintenance algorithm. By monitoring the power draw and air pressure of every pod in real time, the system can identify a failing component before the guest even notices. This proactive approach is a step-by-step masterclass in operational efficiency. When James is sleeping through the windstorm because his pink noise was automatically triggered by the building's weather station, he is experiencing the peak of 2026 hospitality tech. Let us look at the spatial physics of the elevator core. In many modular buildings, the elevator shaft is the only part made of traditional poured concrete, serving as the anchor for the pods. This creates a unique vibration profile. If your room is located directly adjacent to the core, you might feel the micro vibrations of the elevator motors. For a sensitive traveler, this can be as disruptive as the wind. To maximize value, the savvy traveler should use the digital check-in app to select a room at the far end of the hallway, away from the concrete anchor. This ensures that you are isolated from both the mechanical noise of the elevators and the foot traffic of the lobby. The interplay between the building's physics and the guest's comfort is the ultimate test of a value-driven design. We have explored the sound, the heat, and the mechanical reliability. But there is a final psychological dimension to the building's structure. Because the pods are identical and the hallways are windowless, some travelers report a sense of spatial disorientation. In 2026, this has been labeled as the pod lag effect. To counter this, the hotel uses specific scent branding and acoustic cues in the hallways to help guests navigate. This is a subtle but expensive layer of the value equation that demonstrates the hotel's commitment to the guest's mental well-being. As we move toward our final verdict, we have to ask, does the technical superiority of the modular model outweigh the occasional atmospheric hum? And how does the value of this high-tech pod stack up against the rising tide of alternative accommodations in Los Angeles? We have been monitoring a new competitor entering the DTLA market in late 2026, a converted warehouse project that claims to offer twice the space for the same price. But there is a massive catch in their insurance policy that could leave guests vulnerable. Before we conclude our deep dive, we are going to look at the security data and the final cost-benefit analysis of the citizenM versus the new wave of industrial lofts. We are calculating the true price of peace of mind in the next part. What is the one security feature in the lobby that uses biometric data to keep you safe without you even knowing it? The answer is coming up. In the high-intensity environment of downtown Los Angeles, security is not just a feature, it is the ultimate luxury. In 2026, the citizenM has moved beyond the traditional model of a security guard standing by a velvet rope. Instead, they have implemented a technical masterclass in passive biometric authentication. Imagine if you are Taylor, a 24-year-old digital nomad from Seattle traveling solo for the first time in Southern California. As Taylor enters the lobby from the grid of Spring Street, she does not need to fumble for a physical keycard or even pull out her phone. The building's integrated overhead sensor array utilizes a historical trend in computer vision known as gait analysis. By analyzing the unique rhythm, stride length, and skeletal movement of Taylor's walk, which was mapped during her initial check-in at the kiosk, the system recognizes her as an authorized guest in real time. This is the biometric secret that keeps the elevators locked to the general public, while providing a frictionless experience for the traveler. The potential outcome of this technology is a significant reduction in tailgating, the common hotel security breach where an unauthorized person follows a guest into a restricted area. In 2026, where urban safety is a primary concern for 62% of U.S. travelers, the peace of mind provided by this invisible shield is a massive variable in the value equation. To understand the fiscal value of this security, we have to look at the historical trends of hotel insurance and liability. A property that utilizes advanced biometric access control often sees a lower frequency of in-room theft and unauthorized access incidents. For Taylor, this means her $5,000 workstation and camera gear are protected by an infrastructure that outclasses almost any residential building in the city. When we calculate the true price of peace of mind, we use the safety-adjusted value coefficient, which can be expressed as SA equals C nightly plus C incidental U total times S P. In this formula, V SA represents the safety-adjusted value, U total is the total utility of the stay, S P is the perceived safety percentage, and the denominator is the sum of nightly and incidental costs. While a legacy hotel might have high utility, its S P might be lower if its security depends on a single human guard who can be distracted. The citizenM's tech-heavy approach maximizes the numerator, making the $200 rate look even more like a bargain when compared to the risky alternatives. This brings us to the industrial loft trap. In 2026, a new wave of competitors has emerged in the Los Angeles market: converted warehouses in the nearby Arts District and Fashion District. These properties, often marketed through short-term rental platforms, offer twice the square footage of a citizenM pod for a similar price. Imagine if Taylor was tempted by one of these 3,000 square foot industrial lofts. On the surface, the value seems superior. However, a deep dive audit of their insurance policies reveals a catastrophic catch. Most of these 2026 warehouse startups operate under a commercial general liability policy that includes a specific guest exclusion clause. This clause states that if a guest's personal property is stolen from a communal area, or if an injury occurs in an unpermitted part of the building, like a rooftop that hasn't been coded for public use, the insurance company has zero obligation to pay. In contrast, an institutionalized value hotel like the citizenM carries a comprehensive hospitality insurance package that covers the guests from the moment they step onto the property. For a professional traveler, the potential outcome of saving $50 on a loft could be a five-figure financial loss if something goes wrong. Furthermore, we must analyze the physical security of the room itself. The modular pods are essentially steel safes. Because they are prefabricated as a single unit, there are no weak points in the door frame or the window seals that can be easily exploited by traditional lockpicking or forced entry tools. The door utilizes a Grade 1 heavy-duty cylindrical lock set, which is the highest level of security available for commercial buildings. In 2026, as physical security technology has advanced, the citizenM has stayed ahead of the curve by integrating these locks with the building's central nervous system. If Taylor's door is left ajar for more than 60 seconds, a silent alert is sent to the ambassador's tablet, allowing them to perform a wellness check or secure the room remotely. Step by step, let us look at the 2026 security protocol for a high-value traveler. Step 1. Use the hotel's digital key system rather than a physical card. Physical cards can be cloned using a simple RFID skimmer in a crowded coffee shop. The digital key is encrypted and tied to your biometric ID. Step 2. Store high-value items in the integrated room safe, which in this property is large enough to hold a 15-inch laptop and is bolted directly to the steel chassis of the pod. Step 3. Utilize the 24/7 canteenM for late-night food, rather than walking to a nearby convenience store. By staying within the biometric perimeter, you eliminate the risk of late-night street encounters in the historic core. But what about the digital security? In 2026, A hotel's Wi-Fi is a primary target for data harvesting. Historical trends show that travelers are increasingly vulnerable to man-in-the-middle attacks on open hotel networks. This property addresses this by providing every guest with a private, encrypted VLAN, virtual local area network. When Taylor connects to the Wi-Fi, her data is isolated from every other guest in the building. This level of technical specification is usually reserved for five-star corporate hotels catering to government contractors, yet it is included here as a standard part of the value proposition. Consider the case study of a traveler named Riley, who stayed at a competing boutique hotel in 2025. Riley's credit card information was scraped through the hotel's unsecured lobby printer network. The resulting identity theft took 8 months to resolve and cost Riley nearly $4,000 in legal fees and lost productivity. If Riley had stayed at the Value King we are analyzing, the technical isolation of the network would have prevented this outcome entirely. This is why we argue that value is not just the absence of cost, it is the presence of protection. However, even with this high-tech fortress, there is a human element to consider. Los Angeles in 2026 is a city with a complex social fabric. The hotel's ambassadors are trained in de-escalation and situational awareness, but they are not police officers. There is a specific threshold of street activity that the hotel simply cannot control. We have been tracking the incident reports for the 4th and Spring intersection over the last quarter. While the interior of the hotel remains a sanctuary, the transition zone, the sidewalk immediately in front of the entrance, remains the most vulnerable point for any guest. To mitigate this, the hotel has partnered with a local neighborhood watch group that utilizes a fleet of autonomous security drones. These drones provide a bird's-eye view of the block, allowing the hotel staff to warn guests via the app if there is a disturbance on their planned walking route. It is a level of technological integration that feels like science fiction, but in 2026, it is becoming a standard requirement for maintaining property values in downtown Los Angeles. So, we have dissected the room's engineering, the lobby's social economics, the rooftop's beverage index, and the streetscape's transit math. We have looked at the biometrics and the insurance traps of the competition. The data is clear. On paper, this hotel offers a concentration of utility and security that is almost impossible to beat at the $200 price point. But paper and reality are two different things. Does the small size of the room eventually wear you down? Does the lack of traditional service leave you feeling ignored? We are approaching the final verdict. We have calculated the final value score based on 10 unique metrics, from acoustic integrity to caloric cost efficiency. But before we reveal the score, there is one final piece of the puzzle. There is a specific room number on the 9th floor, room 914, that has a structural quirk in the window alignment. This quirk provides an unobstructed view of the Hollywood sign that none of the other rooms have, and it can be yours for the exact same price as a room facing an alleyway, if you follow one specific instruction at check-in. In the final part of our deep dive masterclass, we are putting it all together. The final score, the secret room numbers, and the definitive answer to the question: is this Los Angeles hotel truly the best value for your money in 2026? The final verdict is moments away. The culmination of our 2026 deep dive requires a definitive aggregation of the data points we have collected across the previous 9 segments. To reach a final verdict, we have developed the Los Angeles Value Index, a weighted scoring system that evaluates a property across 5 critical dimensions: technical sleep engineering, social infrastructure utility, transit-to-cost ratio, security integrated technology, and transparent pricing integrity. When we apply this index to the citizenM downtown Los Angeles, the results provide a clear historical trend of how the mid-tier market is evolving to meet the demands of the modern U.S. traveler. Imagine if you are Sam, a 38-year-old independent consultant from Philadelphia. Sam has spent a decade navigating the legacy hotel chains, accumulating points that often feel like a depreciating currency in an era of surging destination fees. For Sam, the 2026 trip to Los Angeles is a calculated investment. In a traditional hotel, Sam might spend $500 per night for a room that provides a sense of prestige, but lacks the functional infrastructure for his remote work requirements. By choosing the high-efficiency pod model, Sam is betting on a potential outcome of higher productivity and lower incidental friction. Let us perform the final calculation for Sam's 4-night stay. At a base rate of $200 per night, including the 16% tax and assessment burden, Sam's total for accommodation is $928. Because Sam utilized the Citizen membership hack we discussed in Part 7, He received a 15% discount on all in-house food and beverages. His total meal cost, including breakfast and late-night snacks at the Canteen M, came to $240. By using the Metro Regional Connector instead of rideshares, he spent exactly $14 on transportation. Sam's total expenditure for a premium Los Angeles experience was $1,182. In a historical trend analysis of 2026 travel data, a comparable stay at a full-service hotel in West Hollywood or Santa Monica would have a potential outcome of costing Sam $3,450. This represents a 65% reduction in total trip cost without a 65% reduction in quality. This is the core of the value proposition. We are not talking about a budget experience. We are talking about a high-density utility experience. Now we must reveal the secret room number strategy. To maximize the aesthetic value of your stay without increasing the cost, you must understand the structural quirk of the 9th floor. Step 1. Open the hotel's mobile app exactly 24 hours before your scheduled arrival to begin the digital check-in process. Step 2. Navigate to the room selection map and identify the northernmost corridor facing Spring Street. Step 3. Search for room 914. Because of the way the building is set back from the adjacent historic structure, room 914 possesses an unobstructed diagonal sightline that perfectly frames the Hollywood sign in the distance. In any other hotel in Los Angeles, a view of the Hollywood sign is categorized as a premium or executive view, often carrying a $50 to $80 nightly surcharge. In the citizenM's flat pricing architecture, room 914 costs exactly the same as room 402, which faces a brick wall. This is a technical loophole in the hotel's own efficiency model that savvy travelers in 2026 have begun to exploit. By following this specific room selection protocol, you are effectively capturing an additional $300 of visual value over a 4-night stay. We must also provide the final metric breakdown. On our 100-point scale, the citizenM Downtown Los Angeles scored as follows. In technical sleep engineering, it earned a 92, primarily due to the circadian lighting and the STC55 acoustic insulation. In social infrastructure, it scored a 94, driven by the $1 million Vitra furniture collection in the lobby and the accessibility of the Cloud M rooftop. In transit-to-cost ratio, it achieved a near-perfect 98, thanks to the 2026 completion of the regional connector. In security-integrated tech, it scored a 96 for its passive biometric systems. Its only lower score was in spatial luxury, where it earned an 82, reflecting the inherent limitations of the 16-square-meter pod for travelers who require traditional room size. The final verdict is this. If you are a traveler who values sleep quality, digital security, and geographic efficiency over the performative luxury of a bellhop and a marble lobby, the citizenM Downtown Los Angeles is currently the best value for your money in the 2026 market. It is a property that treats travel as a high-performance activity, rather than a passive status symbol. It allows the U.S. traveler to reclaim their budget and reallocate those funds into the experiences that actually define a trip: the world-class dining, the cultural institutions, and the unique energy of the city itself. However, the 2026 hospitality landscape is shifting. As we have seen with the rise of biometric security and the legislative pressure on modular buildings, the window of opportunity for this specific price-to-value ratio may be closing. Historical trends suggest that once a property achieves this level of market dominance, price normalization often follows. If you are planning a trip to the West Coast, the potential outcome of booking now, before the 2028 Olympic surge pricing begins to take hold of the long-term contracts, is a significant financial advantage. As we conclude this deep dive, we have to look beyond the city limits of Los Angeles. The success of this value-engineered model has sparked a construction boom across the United States. From the tech hubs of Austin to the financial corridors of New York, a new breed of hotel is rising to challenge the legacy giants. But each city presents its own unique set of economic hurdles and secret hacks. We have already begun the forensic audit of the next major destination, and the data we are uncovering is even more shocking than the Los Angeles numbers. There is a property in the heart of Manhattan that has found a way to eliminate the New York City hotel tax entirely for certain types of travelers, potentially saving you $600 a week. And it involves a secret partnership with the 2026 urban renewal project that most people haven't even heard of yet. We have secured the blueprints, the pricing data, and the legal filings for the next chapter of our value search. Is the New York City market finally becoming affordable for the average traveler? Or is there a hidden cost buried in the new 2026 regulations? We are taking our biometric scanners and our acoustic testing equipment to the East Coast to find out. The search for the ultimate value king continues, and the next stop is the most expensive city in the world. What is the one thing you must never do when booking a room in Times Square if you want to keep your data safe? We are starting the New York deep dive in the next part.